What's up YouTube, Dirt here from Z4 Games, and today I'm bringing you an update to Dark Magician. Now this will hopefully of course be post Legendary Duelist Season 3, so some of the core cards will be a little bit cheaper, but this is just like a heads up that if you're interested in this particular type of build, you might want to go out and grab the Libromancers while they are relatively cheap at this moment in time. So this is of course Dark Libro or Dark Magician Libromancers. I will show you all of the synergies between the two, how they work together in tandem, and the type of boards they can produce towards the end of the video as well. Please smash that like button, hit that notification bell and subscribe so you do not miss out on any more upcoming content. With all of that out of the way, let's dive headfirst into Dark Libro. So the idea behind this is that the Libromancers will be free bodies on the board that utilise the fact that one of the core cards in the Dark Magician strategy at current is Illusion of Chaos. Off the back of that, the Libromancers also give you the ability to get you into Link monster plays. It can also get you into rank 3 plays of Shadow Gossip, which can be very, very important if you're trying to protect from like Nibiru, Ash Blossom, anything like that. So starting off the Dark Magician engine, we've got 2 Dark Magicians and the single Dark Magician Girl. Now this is something that I consider to cut or to keep, and basically the only reason he's in here is to help utilise rank 6 plays. There is only one rank 6 play you make, and that is of course Beatrice. Now the reason you would make Beatrice is more for the side game, because what she can do is she can give you instant access to a Fairy Tale Snow, or more commonly right now will give you instant access to Token Collector, which can be incredibly powerful against the Brave matchups. It can also be incredibly powerful against the Sword Soul matchup as well. Now, if you don't want to be playing rank 6 plays, you can cut her out completely. There is no other real reason apart from the fact that she's level 6. Libromancer Agent is level 6 as well. And Diviner, which is your biggest bridge between the 2 archetypes, is also, or can also become a level 6 as well. So that's your main route of play for using Dark Magician Girl. Arguably, you can cut her. It's just one of these ones to try and replace the fact that when we had Verte, we had a way to get a draw 2 off the Soul Servant. We are playing less of that now and relying a lot less of it because it is a lot more difficult for us to get into Dragoon unless you make it a Red Eyes Fusion focused build. We've then got Triple Magician Souls. Now this obviously gives you so much utility in the deck. It gives you instant access to Dark Magician, it can give you access to Dark Magician Girl, but it can also give you a draw 2, which with the Libromancers, the fact that they can constantly keep searching and recycling some of their materials gives you an instant free send, not to mention that if you couple that off with a Magician's Rod search or anything like that, it gives you an additional ditch. And off the back, what makes it so good is activating Dark Magical Circle to let you see the top 3 cards, can then make it see if it's worth doing the draws, and when we're playing a couple of power cards, that draw off of Souls can then lead you into the full unlocking of the Libromancer plays, giving you a very nice trap protection, or it can give you full routes into either a extra deck play, or of course into your Red Eyes Fusion, well not Red Eyes Fusion, sorry, but your Red Eyes Dark Dragoon play. We've then got 2 Magician's Rod. Now the reason we've only got 2 is because it's searchable through the Illusion of Chaos, but also it massively clashes with the Diviner. Now between the 2 of them, you kind of want to balance them out. If you don't have access to Diviner, you can go with Manju. The reason that Diviner is a little bit better, like I previously mentioned, is that because it becomes a level 6, it can unlock rank 6 plays. Because it's a tuner, it can also unlock Halley Fibrax into Selene, into Access Code or Avramax plays, depending on what route you want to go. I know Diviner is a little bit more expensive than Manju, so it's entirely up to you. If you do go for the Manju, you'd actually unlock rank 4 plays, should you wish to go down that route instead. We've then got 2 Illusion of Chaos and the 1 Timaeus the Dragon. Now Timaeus is actually important in order to get you into your Dragoon, and that can come off the back of Magician's Rod, which comes off, so it'll be Magician's Rod plus Magician's Souls, gives you the 2 card combo plus a discard to get you into Dragoon. Obviously, Magician's Souls can also search you out the Secrets of Dark Magic that can then become a fusion play during your opponent's turn for Dragoon, or if you wanted to, as long as you're using Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl, the Secrets of Dark Magic can pretty much get you into any other fusion monster you want, like Guardian Chimera if you wanted to as well. To For the spell cards, we're going to play the 1 Circle, the 1 Servant, the 1 Secret. Now, I know a lot of you are going to be like, whoa, why are you only playing the 1 Servant? Well, the fact is, I'm actually playing Pot of Prosperity in the deck because we have so many different engines that we want to synergize together. The Excavation of 3 or 6 is obviously going to be better than the Soul Servant draw. Off the back of that as well, the Soul Servant draw is very difficult in this particular build or in the deck in general to get the draw to because we don't have consistent ways of getting Dark Magician and Dark Magician Girl to the graveyard. So in order to get both of these to the graveyard, you'd have to send Dark Magician Girl off of Souls, and then you'd need to be able to hard draw or hard search into a Dark Magician, and then fuse it or get it to the field in one way or another. Same with Dark Magician Girl. So it's very difficult to get the maximum value of the Soul Servant. That being said, it's better in a bit of more of a grind game, because the way it'd work is you'd go Magician Souls. That will then give you the ability to Foolish Burial your Dark Magician and then revive it. Then you normal summon your Rod. Rod would then search out your Soul Servant. You activate the Soul Servant to stack the Tomias to the top of the deck. And because you control Dark Magician, you banish this to draw the Tomias. You tribute off the Magician's Rod to summon down the Tomias and then use its effect to fuse with your Dark Magician. Now, it is a very long-winded way around of doing it, and that is why there is another bridge in the form of Soravus that works out a little bit better, because you're going to be constantly searching it to unlock all of your Libromancer plays and then kind of go from there. Off the back of that as well, because we do play E-Telly for the Libromancers, there is a way of turning Dark Magician with a Ghost Ogre into a Baron de Fleur, just so you can kind of try and, where you've lost the consistency of getting into Dragoon, you open up alternative routes in order to get you a card that will provide that Omni-Negate that you may need in order to continue your plays or see the game out. This is, of course, the final card for the Dark Magician bit, which is Eternal Soul. You're obviously only going to want to be searching it a little bit later in the grind game because it can blow out your entire board. It's a card that if you do open it, you still need to get Dark Magician to the grave or to the hand, and we're kind of past that point in the game where in the old days it was really, really good to go, cool, I've got Circle, I've got Eternal Soul, and now I can start summoning Dark Magician. Like, right now, the game's far surpassed that, and that's just not good enough, which is why we're only playing a very, very small Dark Magician spell and trap lineup. Moving into the Libromancers, so again, I wanted to keep the engine as small as possible because I didn't want it to dominate in comparison to the Dark Magicians. So we do play triple Libromancer Fire, 1 Geek Boy, and the reason we're playing 1 Geek Boy is because we are playing triple E-Telly. And the thing is, once you've used an E-Telly and it becomes dead, you can just be very easy ditch fodder for your Soul Servant, but it can also be used to bring you out your Ghost Ogre, which can act as your tuner, whether you want to be using that with Dark Magician in order to get to Baron, or whether you want to use it to go into Halifibrax, and then climb your routes with your Halifibrax up into Selene, access code for game kind of play. We've then got the 1 Agent, the 1 Doombroker, 2 of the First Appearance, and then of course the 1 Intervention. So the Intervention is the trap card that can help pretty much protect you from stuff like Droplet and stuff like Dark Ruler. And again, this becomes even more prominent in the side deck when you're playing Secret Village of the Spellcasters. You can really, really control your opponent, especially when you've got Dragoon on the board, and that will give you a bit more play to go with. So for those of you who don't know what the Libromancers do, the main effect monsters basically give you the ability to reveal a ritual monster in your hand to special summon them. Fire will then let you search out a Libromancer monster, so you can go to Geek Boy, reveal the ritual monster in the hand, special the Geek Boy will get you the field spell. The field spell can then get you Doombroker or Agent. Agent lets you revive or add back from the graveyard a Libromancer monster, which can be very, very helpful because it then means you regain your resource. And then Doombroker, when it is ritual summoned, you get to set the trap directly from the deck. And keep in mind as well, Agent lets you loop both these cards back. But if you do that, you have to put a card back to the bottom of the deck, only if you revive or add back a spell or trap. So keep that in mind, very important. So that's it for the Libromancer engine. Now the bridge. Now what I mean by the bridge, it's the cards that tie the two together in additional synergy. So the additional synergy we have, of course, is 2 Diviner. Now this is where it gets a little bit confliction, because you want to normal summon your Rod, that will get you down your Dragoon route, but if you normal summon the Diviner, that will unlock your Ritual route, and that will then unlock your Libromancer route. But the idea is that Diviner can then become an interruption by sending the Tis, which can pop a card if you're going second, or it sends Herald if you need that Ritual monster in order to get you access to your Illusion of Chaos, your Soravus, which is another part of the bridge, and then of course triple Preparation of Rites. Now, I know it's very important to have a Ritual monster in hand, but you've got to be careful because technically you're not going to be summoning Illusion of Chaos, you're not going to be summoning Soravus. The only one you're going to be Ritual summoning is of course Doombroker. So we're currently playing 4 Ritual monsters, But if you then include the free preparation of rites, you're playing 7 ritual monsters. And then if you include the diviners, you're actually playing 9 ritual monsters in the deck, which gives you as much consistency as possible to kind of get to it. Not to mention, of course, you do play your Pot of Prosperity, which I would like to assume, if you haven't seen a ritual monster in your opening hand, an excavation of 6 will near enough guarantee to get you a ritual monster. Then, as I play in all of my Dark Magician decks, because I think the engine is just too powerful, is the Dogmatika package. So you've got the double Nadir Servant, the 1 Ecclesia, and instead of Fleur de Lis, I've gone for Punishment this time, just because I like the idea of trying to control with more back row, especially with the format that we're going to go into with the Telements and Splites being very heavy on the Dark Rulers and the Droplets. A punishment can be very, very powerful, and that's where the Libromancers really come into their own, because that's when you can start looping the Doom Broker to attack directly, but you can also start looping the other cards as well, just to put a bit more board presence. So it's not the end of the world if you're locked out of the extra deck. That's just something you need to keep in mind, that when you build your board, the idea is if it does get Dark Ruled or Dropleted, you use stuff like Punishment in order to protect it, to make sure it stays on the board. Nadir Servant is one of the cards that you just put at the end of your combo, whether you've been stopped in absolutely everything or whether you've successfully resolved everything. It's a 1-card combo that will, of course, lead you into Schism, which is still one of my favourite cards because it will lead you into, of course, your El Shaddai Winder. And especially when the format looking like Telements are going to abuse Winder as well. It's one of these ones where a lot of decks are playing either Rose Whip to limit you, Scythe Lock to limit you, or of course stuff like Shifter and everything like that. So this deck needs to have a natural way of doing that, and that's where Schism comes into play, because that of course will give you the window. The window will then be able to go, cool, right, lockdown, that's it, you're not being able to do anything. And if you trigger the Schism on your opponent activating, for example, Branded Fusion, not only will that stop them going any further off the back of Branded Fusion, because they'll just get the Albion or the Lubellion, but if it's a Dark Monster that they put on the board as well, the Schism will then give that ability to send it, which is really, really important. And you're going to be adding this to the back of a Doom Broker, and of course you're going to be adding it to the back of hopefully a Red Eyes Dark Dragoon as well. The final 2 cards is the 1 Ghost Ogre and 1 Effect Veiler. Now, these are going to be used less as hand traps, more as utility cards. So the Veiler is a card you want to be summoning off of the Halley Firebrats, because that gives you instant access to go into Selene. If you wanted to, this could very easily be Jet. And the reason that Jet would probably be a little bit better is because you would go Jet, you turn that into Relinquish Anima, then you go into Selene, and then you still have a card you can bring back from the graveyard. So if your opponent was to, or you weren't strong enough, or there wasn't enough spells to trigger Selene to revive, you could still then just revive Jet, and that still gives you access to your access code. So that's something that I have been considering and looking into. The Ghost Ogre was an option so that even once I've used 1 E-Telly on the Geek Boy, I can still use the second one on a Ghost Ogre, whether that performs some form of interruption because my opponent will then have to play around a live Ghost Ogre on the board, or whether that lets me put that into... So Souls plus E-Telly can give me a Baron, and it kind of gives you a little bit more to play around with. Not to mention that, of course, an E-Telly can then unlock the Halley Firebrats plays as well. So you're just looking at how to utilise as many of the single cards in your deck as possible, so that no matter what combination of cards, you'll at least have a chance of 1 card unlocking the hand, or multiple 1-card combos to get you as far as possible, or to play through multiple interruptions. Moving on to the extra deck, we'll start off with the XYZ first. Of course, the one is the Beatrice. Now, again, I'm not completely set on the rank 6 route of this deck, for the pure fact that I feel it's very, very particular. It needs my Diviner to be the normal summon. It then needs me to either be able to summon out the Agent, or it then needs me to be able to get the Dark Magician Girl. Of course, you could swap this out for like Sulkin and Crystal Wing if you wanted to, which is a very, very good alternative. But again, that then means that you have to have Diviner. Whereas with Beatrice, I could have any mixture of Diviner, Agent, and Dark Magician Girl. You could put Zeus in here if you wanted to, but the idea behind Beatrice is, like I mentioned, is during your turn, if you were to play, for example, if you wanted to play the Jet, it could Foolish Burial Jet without having to get into Halley Firebrats. You could then use Jet's effect to bring it back and then link into Beatrice and go from there. Alternatively, is during your opponent's turn or your turn, you can send the side deck option of Token Collector, meaning you don't have to flood your deck with 3 Token Collectors, and then you can summon that back to stop any Brave plays, or of course stop any Sword Soul plays. For the Synchros, of course, we've got the 1 Herald of the Arclight, and I'm just going to put this alongside the Tis, because you're never going to summon these. Technically you could, because you could normal summon Valar and then use your Geek Boy and go into Herald. but the idea is that you're going to be sending these two off of your diviner, and that's of course going to be able to either search you out a ritual monster. No ritual spells that we play, so that's what it's going to search, and then this will just become a form of destruction. Of course, you ideally want to be saving this for your punishment, but punishment does have other targets in the deck as well, because you can get up to 3,000, so that does give you an alternative route. The other synchro, of course, is Baron de Fleur. Incredibly powerful. This can be made with Diviner plus Libromancer Fire, but it can also be made with E-Telly plus Dark Magician or Magician Souls. Then moving on to the fusions, of course, we got the one Winder and the one App Cologne. Now, a lot of people in the past have been confused about how you actually make the Winder lock. Well, often the Dear Servant, you send the App Cologne. App Cologne searches you out the Schism. You discard any random card, and then you can set the Schism. During your opponent's turn, you activate the Schism, you banish the App Cologne as your Shadow monster, and then any Dark Magician card, whether that be Rod, Dark Magician Girl, Souls, Illusion of Chaos, you name it, to get you into your Winder, and then that locks them down. The final fusion monster is, of course, Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. Now, it's disappointing that the extra deck has gone from being so Dark Magician reliant, so 2 Red Eyes Dark Dragoons, possibly a Dark Magician the Dragon Knight. It's now become more of, okay, well, the only Dark Magician card you play is Dragoon. It's just incredibly hard to actually make it in this deck. It's not as easy to just go Verte, send Red Eyes Fusion, cool, let's go. It's now a lot more difficult unless you're going to be maxing out on the Red Eyes Fusion. For the Link monsters, we've got, starting off with the Artemis and the Magister's Moon Maidens. This is just to make sure you've got as consistent way as possible to get into your Mech-Knight Crusader Avramax. And what I mean by that is, as soon as you make Selene, you can bring back any spellcaster level 4 or lower, which is your Souls, your Phaela, or your Rod, turn it into Artemis, and then you can go into Avramax. And I feel that in the upcoming format, Avramax is just such a towers for your opponent to try and deal with, that even the Telemans and, of course, the Splites will struggle. For Link 2s, of course, we've got the IP Masquerena, we've got the Crystron Halifibrax, and the Cross Sheep. And the reason we've got the Cross Sheep in here is because you will actually summon out a ritual monster in the form of Doombroker, and then whether it's during your opponent's turn or during your turn, you actually have a way of triggering the fusion effect of this. Keeping in mind, Cross Sheep triggers when a card is summoned to its zone, and will trigger depending on what it points to. Now, the reason that is so important is because technically, if this is pointing to a Doombroker, and during my opponent's turn I activate Schism to summon out Winder, not only will that allow me to trigger the effect of Cross Sheep to draw 2 and ditch 2 because it points to Doombroker, but it'll also allow me to revive a card from the graveyard. That being, if I revive a Geek Boy or if I revive a Libromancer Fire, I will then get an additional add off of the back of that. Not to mention, if I activate Secrets of Dark Magic and make Dragoon to a zone it points to, again, I'll get the same outcome. It's incredibly powerful and something that you can leave on the board to do that. Keep in mind as well, if you make Beatrice and leave that pointing to it, you'll also be able to get a nice attack boost for all of your cards. Then, of course, the additional bridges on this one is 2 Link 3s in the form of Nightmare Unicorn and, of course, Selene. Now, Unicorn is a very cool option to come off of the back of IP, but so can Avramax. And that's another reason where Cross Sheep becomes really, really good, because, alright, you might lose a zone because you'd have to make IP down on this zone, but I can fuse, bring a monster back, or I can Ritual, trigger the effect, draw 2. That can then still give me the ability of activate IP Masquerena to make Mech-Knight Crusader Avramax, and then if I was to put this, for example, if Avramax went, so if you went Cross Sheep there, and we had IP here, if you then activate IP Masquerena's effect and you put Avramax here, you can then trigger the additional effect of bringing back a ritual monster or anything else here. But what you're probably going to do more times than not is IP plus Cross Sheep equals Avramax. So I just feel that Avramax is such an underrated card right now, and it is starting to slowly creep up in price. It's definitely something that I would advise you looking out for, and kind of go from there. And then the final card is, of course, access code. I mean, it's pretty much exactly what it says on the tin. You've got 2 routes to get to this. The very easy one is any monster plus a tuner gets you into Halifibrax. Halifibrax gives you into Fet Phaela. Fet Phaela goes in with Halifibrax to Selene. Selene brings back a Fet Phaela. Those 2 go into access code. Access code gain 3k, 5-3 on board, let's go. And that will then give you the effect of at least banish 2. That's where Artemis is a little bit different in comparison to something like the Relinquish Anima. Or, of course, if you wanted to go for Umduct, for the pure fact that it just gives you a different attribute for your access code, so you'll get to banish, to destroy 3 cards rather than 2. And that's it for the full profile. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share. Till next time, guys, as absolutely always, stay safe. And, of course, happy dueling.